Okay, this hearing that's happening right now, just one day before short-term funding for DHS runs out, and several Democrats have made clear they will not support more funding without major reforms to ICE. We've got it all covered this morning. MS Now senior Capitol Hill reporter and host of Way Too Early, Ali Vitale, is there on the Hill. Immigration advocate and former assistant chief counsel at ICE, Veronica Cardenas, is here, along with MS Now contributor Paula Ramos. Ali, take us inside today's hearing on the Hill. What are the biggest headlines so far?
Look, I thought that this started as a more serious-minded, sober-minded effort than what we ended up seeing in the House on Tuesday. Of course, we've only seen the panelists here that are Minnesota-focused, and this is their only testimony this week on Capitol Hill. To that end, as they're wrapping up there, Anna, last time I was on with you, I was telling you that it took a while for the news of Operation Metro Surge to actually make its way into the room. At one point, it was announced by a Republican senator. We've yet to hear the reaction from the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, and so as this panel starts to wrap up, I'm going to be keeping a close eye out for him here in the hallway so we can get that reaction. I have been asking other Republican senators, though. They are largely deferring to Homan and Trump. If they believe that this is the best decision, they are going to go along with that. But in this hearing, we have heard Republicans spar, frankly, with Ellison over everything from separate, unrelated cases of fraud in the state of Minnesota. That's not the focus of this hearing, but certainly Josh Hawley among those, bringing it up to Ellison. And then, of course, we heard Senator Ron Johnson as well having his own fiery moment, speaking about what happened on the ground with Alex Preddy and Renee Good, but also laying blame at Ellison's feet and saying that it's because protesters were urged to videotape and follow ICE agents as part of the accountability effort that's frankly been happening on the ground. Just listen to that exchange between Johnson and Ellison.
Is it any wonder they're at hair trigger alert? A tragedy was going to happen, and you encouraged it. And you ought to feel damn guilty about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, sit there and smirk. Smirk. It's sick. It is despicable.
Are you asking me for comment, Senator? Because everything you said was untrue. It was a nice theatrical performance, but it was all lies.
Senator Hassan.
You disgust me.
So you saw there just how intense some of these moments have gotten. Again, this is just the first part of this panel. The second part of it is going to start in just a few moments when they wrap up. This one is going to feature the heads of ICE, CBP, and Immigration Services. Again, we've seen these officials testify once before this week. Interesting to see the ways that this hearing will be similar and different, and what future details we'll be able to get as we take it from a more micro focus on the ground in Minneapolis to a larger, broader focus on the administration's immigration efforts, Anna.
Ali, thanks for bringing us that snapshot. I know, Paula, you've been also listening to this hearing as it's been underway now for over an hour. What stands out most to you?
I think that exchange says everything, right? When the senator looks at the attorney general, he says, "You disgust me." I think there is such a lack of moral consciousness that I've seen among Republicans. There's such a lack of empathy, such a lack of remorse. I think that word is so important. You disgust me. Because that is what the Trump administration has been training their officers and their base to do, to look at immigrants and look at them as criminals, to look at the opposition the same way that that senator did to Keith Ellison and say, "You disgust me." And that is the heart of dehumanization. What dehumanizes a human being, and there's a science to this, has to do with disgust. Now, disgust is more powerful than resentment. It's more powerful than fear. Disgust is at the heart of what they're doing. And so I think I'm almost at a loss of words to see that these hearings are supposed to be about reconciliation and going to the truth, but it's almost impossible, no? Because there's so much mis and disinformation. But at the heart of it is how do you undo this dehumanization?
And that's such a powerful point. And I think the other piece, what you point out, is the impediment to truth, to getting the facts, to understanding really what's happening. And so there's a lot of talking at each other versus talking with each other. And I think case in point, we heard this announcement this morning from Tom Homan saying that he and the president agreed they will conclude the operation. And yet, Veronica, it was during this hearing that the Attorney General of Minnesota learned of this announcement? There was no conversation ahead of the announcement with local state officials. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think the biggest question that comes to me when I'm seeing this is, right, this was made for safety, right? This is the whole campaign that Trump was running on. We need to be safer. We are in a year of this administration. Are we actually safer? And is this administration actually moving the needle towards more safety for Americans? And so we take what happened in Minneapolis and look at that as an example. If this administration was coming to those hearings stating, all right, we're going to find a middle ground, we're going to learn from what happened, the murder of Renee Good, of Alex Preddy, and we're going to actually do something to make it better because they're leaving Minneapolis. But where are they going next? And are they going with the same tactics, drag this out through the legal system again, and then finally come out what damage has been done?
The DHS, we know, is now acquiring these large warehouses so that they can convert them into detention centers. But, Veronica, we're already hearing so many reports of inhumane conditions at the current detention centers. So is there any oversight? How are they going to build out a larger scale when what we're seeing is, I don't know, incompetence? What do you see it as in the idea of growing something and taking it to the next level?
Right. That is a huge concern for many legal advocates because the conditions that people are detained now is irresponsible. There's no change being made. In Texas, just in January, in 1 week, there were 3 deaths at a Texas detention center. The family had an autopsy run on one of them because it was stated it was a suicide. It actually came out that it was like aggravated murder or something, and that autopsy report was released. When the family tried to do an autopsy on the second body, instead of DHS allowing that autopsy to take place, they moved that person, that body, to a military base so that...
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I need to go to Ali Vitale, who is with Minnesota's Attorney General right now.
See what people on the ground are telling me before I would accept that it's in fact the case.
We're actually live on MS right now. Can you just give a message?
Do you think they're doing this in good faith? Obviously, this comes at a time where DHS funding is at stake, or do you think this is just a posture to retain funding?
To be very direct, I don't care if it's a good faith or not. I just want them gone. I mean, I don't know if it's a good faith or not. If maybe it is, sure. If it's not, either way, if the result is the same, then it's all right with me.
Did Trump surrender, sir?
You know what? I'm not here to push on. I'm not trying to keep the mess going. I'm trying to end the mess. So I'm going to decline that question.
How do you respond to Senator Hawley's call for you to resign?
Okay, so what'd you say, sir?
How would you characterize your cooperation with Holman?
I'd say that Noam never talked to us, Bovino never talked to us, and Holman did. So I would say that, having had several productive conversations with him, I'd say it was better than what we got before. It was an improvement. Somebody else?
Your response to Senator Hawley?
No response.
And sorry, I think we're live right now on MSNBC. So just your message to folks on the ground in Minnesota who might be hearing this news about the Metro Surge operation ending, anything that you want folks to know about what the community's been through for the past few weeks.
Well, I just want to say I've never been prouder to be a Minnesotan. I'm so proud of the people who helped their neighbors, who stood up for their First Amendment rights, some of which was criticized in here. And I hope it's over. And now it's the time to heal and put things back together again. And I have every confidence that we will do that.
Are you
Appreciate you.
about ICE reforms passing this Friday?
I'm just hoping. All right.
Leslie, do you have any response to the Attorney General's testimony yesterday with respect to the investigations of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and do you expect any cooperation on the part of federal officials?
Let me just say that there is nobody who's ever been a law enforcement official who has taken even a short class in criminal investigation who thinks that it's okay to deny state involvement, to not have an independent investigation. It is the basics of law enforcement that you do a fair investigation, seeking the truth. And the fact that that's not where the Attorney General was is disappointing. But I'm hoping that she listens to people who understand the importance of a fair criminal justice system, which is what our society depends upon. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That was Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison following his testimony today before the Senate Homeland Security Committee. And back with me is Paula Ramos and Veronica Cardenas. First, your reaction, Paula, to what we just heard.
My reaction is, who's next? No, my reaction is perhaps they're about to leave. Governor Walz said it best. Now you have these untrained agents that are going somewhere else. And so who's next? And very quickly, what I think about right now is that 10 days ago, Enrique Tarrio, the former chairman of the Proud Boys, an active Proud Boys member, the mastermind behind the insurrection, he literally told a reporter, he said, we don't feel compelled to go to the streets anymore because the federal agents are doing their job, because ICE is doing a good job. And he said, we kind of got what we wanted, right? And so that scares me, the fact that this perhaps almost unstoppable monster is now unleashed. And so that's my reaction. Who's next?
Your thoughts on what we heard from the Attorney General of Minnesota?
I'd like to echo what Paola said, also the accountability, right? Like we see DHS investigating DHS. They're keeping everything close to their chest. Meanwhile, they're insulting others who are stating, what about our First Amendment rights? What about these murders? AUSAs have resigned from the government because of the way that this administration is handling it. And so who's going to be left to make sure that there is accountability?
Veronica Cardenas and Paula Ramos, thank you. I know we'll continue to monitor the hearing.